Okay, so this is take 3 or 4 trying to get this video done.
6.
Oh, no, my wife just corrected me. 6. Let me give you a little background first of Murasami, and then we'll get into everything else. So Murasami, which this is made by a company called Murasami. Murasami was a real person. He was a swordsmith during middle 15th century, I do believe, or early, almost to the 16th. Somewhere around in there. Anyways, people used to say his swords were cursed, or they even called it the demon sword. So people were kind of afraid of him. It wasn't that they were cursed or a demon resided in the sword. It was just he had produced and made so many of them that everybody had one, pretty much. Now, from what I've read and researched, his swords were phenomenal. When you held them in your hand, it felt like you were holding nothing there. He had it so well balanced that the sword never felt heavy in your hand. This is what they say. I don't know, because I've never handled one. Now, there are some, very little, but some historical records where they said Murasami was kind of a volatile man. He would get upset on the littlest things. So that could have played a factor in it. Not sure. Like I said, it's very little accounts of people historically talked about who knew him. So I don't know if it's true or not. I do believe it was the shogunate. It was either the first head of the shogunate before Tokugawa or Tokugawa himself who outlawed the Murasami blade. In fear of being killed by one. Alright, because it was a demon sword. Well, it was because everybody owned one. In the way... So what he did was, he outlawed them. If you were caught with one, you could get the death penalty. Now, we all know if you take the handle off a katana, the swordsmith has his name on there. But you didn't have to do that with the Murasami, because Murasami had a very distinct hamon line on his blades. So much that people nowadays have tried to copy it, and they can't. There's always some variation that they do wrong. In most people in Japan who deal with swords, antique swords, when somebody says they have a Murasami, that's the first thing they look at, is the hamon, to see if it's a forgery. And then they'll take the handle out and it's a Murasami. Because it was, I forget what they call it, but it's a very distinct, very intricate hamon line that he developed just for him. Because each swordsmith during the time had their own hamon line that they created. Some were very simple, some were really elaborate. Murasami's was very elaborate, and he did that on purpose, so that way everybody knew that was his sword. He made it, and nobody could copy it. So that's one way you could tell if you have a Murasami, is by the hamon, and then you can look at the handle. But since he had a very distinct hamon line, all they had to do is look at the blade, and yeah. So a lot of samurai didn't want to give him up because they were such a good sword. So what they did was they buried them underneath their homes, put them in barns, buried them in their backyards, basically, just so they could keep it. So over the years, when they started excavating, they found these swords. You know, that's why you can actually find a lot of antique Murasami blades. There's one in particular that they've been looking for since the end of World War II, and Murasami had made one for the emperor. Well, during World War II, it disappeared after the war because the Japanese were supposed to hand over all their swords, right? Turn them all in. So, supposedly, this one Japanese soldier went into one of the police departments where he was supposed to turn it in, and turned the sword in. But the problem is, the name of the Japanese soldier doesn't exist. But his name's written down in the logbook from the police department. So people don't really know what happened to it. It's supposed to be a very elaborate, very beautiful looking sword, of course, because it's for the emperor, one of its kind. And so they either think private collector may have it, they're not sure, or is still in Japan. Could be in a Shinto shrine, it could be buried beneath a mountain. Nobody really knows. A lot of archaeologists have been searching for this sword for quite a long time now. And it does actually belong to the emperor. So basically, if they find it, it's the royal family's sword. So it'd be kind of cool if somebody actually did find it. But I don't know if everybody ever will. But anyways, back in the day, people used to think they were cursed. They're not cursed. There was just a lot of them around. So that brings us now to trying to make this video 6 times. First review video got deleted. It's gone forever now. So then the blade chips on just cutting. I only cut 2 times with this thing. On, it's a little small, about that big in diameter, about that tall soda bottles, and then water bottles. Yeah, just in blade chip, 2 spots. So got that video, which, well, you watched just before you got to this segment of this video, hopefully. And then so I decided, okay, gonna do a video on after I took the chips out of the blade. And this was last Sunday, because Casey Blade Drip was going, what happened to Samurai Sunday? Well, this is what happened. I go to do the video, camera shuts off. I go to turn the camera back on, go to do it again. Camera shuts off. I'm getting really flustered now at this point. Turn the camera back on. Try to do it. Camera shuts down. It was like just trying to get these videos together for the review of this sword has been crazy. We have not had any other video been this problematic than this one. So I'm beginning to think that this one is cursed. For sure. Because it's been so problematic from the get-go. Beautiful looking sword. Although there's issues with it. Like L6 chips. I only cut 2 times with it in a chip. Not very happy about that. Took me 4 hours to take the chip to redo this whole blade, and I'm still not done yet. Took me over an hour just to take the chips out, and I started with the 400 grit stone, worked from there, and used then 1,000, 3,000, 8,000. Like I said, I'm not done with it, and then I still have to strop it. So it's very time consuming if you do it with stones, because you've got to be patient. But you get yourself in that Zen state and you just keep going. But here. As you can see, there's no chips in that blade now. So, and then another thing. Which side is it? Oh yeah, it's this one. Manuki. Just moves up and down because the battle wrap isn't that good. Seigo is tight as hell. I will give it that. But that's all I'm going to say about this sword. Because this thing, been problematic. Very much so. So yeah. This video that you're watching could be cursed. You ever seen Ju-on? You never know. Just saying. So I'm just going to pass it on to everybody else. Anyways, that's what I have for you guys. Now that hopefully this video will get uploaded after we get it edited, unless that becomes a problem. You never know. See you guys later.